he's hoping that the fall of Assad has left Putin weaker. But again, he has his own weakness where Vladimir Putin is concerned.
We think we know, don't we, what Donald Trump will be like, because he tends to share his thoughts very much before the world. This is him last night at a pre-inauguration event.
At noon, the curtain closes on 4 long years of American decline, and we begin a brand new day of American strength and prosperity, dignity and pride. Bringing it all back. Once and for all, we're going to end the reign of a failed and corrupt political establishment in Washington, a failed administration. We're not going to take it anymore. We're going to stop the invasion of our borders. We're going to reclaim our wealth. We're going to unlock the liquid gold that's right under our feet, liquid gold. We're going to bring back law and order to our cities. We're going to restore patriotism to our schools, get radical left, woke ideologies the hell out of our military and out of our government. And we are going to make America great again.
There we go. Donald Trump talks loudly, but what will he actually do? There seems to be lots of areas where his plans are unclear, or at least people aren't entirely confident that he'll do what he says. Let's discuss some of what Donald Rumsfeld called the known unknowns with Catherine Philp, the Times' World Affairs editor. Morning, Catherine.
Good morning, Stig.
I don't know how unknown they are. We sort of know what they are, but we're not entirely confident that they will happen. Is tariffs the big example of that, Catherine?
I think it is, certainly in terms of what affects the rest of the world, because I think what we're going to see today is this fire hose of executive orders about all sorts of things to do with immigration and the border. But tariffs seem the most likely signal we're going to get about how aggressively Donald Trump's going to pursue America first on the world stage. And
it's presumably the most plausible scenario is he's going to say, we're going to do 10% at least on everybody, and that will include Britain. That feels still at the moment the most likely scenario. Is that right, do you think?
Yes. I mean, I don't know whether... one of the problems with Donald Trump is how much attention does he give to details. Yeah. So it'd be quite interesting to see if his plans for tariffs actually line up against what is plausible or legally acceptable. Yeah. Because he has in the past tried to promote tariff regimes that are not actually doable. For example, when he singled out Denmark and said if they didn't hand over Greenland, he would tariff them more than he would the rest of Europe, which of course can't happen. Yeah. So, but I imagine that some of these issues will be ironed out when we see the executive orders. Whereas during his speech following his swearing in for his second term, we'll get more of the broad outlines of where he sees America on the world stage. Yeah, and we were hearing from David Charter earlier that he could sign up to 200 orders, which no one else will ever have done. I think Biden did 17. When Trump first joined the White House in 2016, he signed 1. He might do up to 200 today. Ukraine, Catherine, we've spoken a lot about Ukraine over the last couple of years, obviously. It feels like a known that he won't bring peace in a day. I guess one question will be, is he committed to some sort of negotiation in the first 2 or 3 months? Well, it's funny, isn't it? Because that was the one thing that for so long he claimed that he would do on day one. And then he got rather more distracted by the idea of doing a mass deportation as the reality of how difficult it might be to actually end the conflict in Ukraine in one day was going to be. It is known to be the case that he would rather like to get a Nobel Peace Prize under his belt. And this would be the year to do it because it's towards the end of the year that is awarded. And Ukraine or the Middle East might be the target for that. I think he's hoping that the fall of Assad has left Putin weaker. But again, he has his own weakness where Vladimir Putin is concerned. His admiration for him as a strongman persona. So how he would actually stand up to Putin, or whether indeed he would stand up to Putin and continue to back Ukraine until Putin gives a little, or whether he's going to end up selling out the Ukrainians in the way that they fear.
Just finally, we were talking to Dominic O'Connell earlier about, he mentioned in that clip, liquid gold, drill, baby, drill. Is one of the global consequences of a Trump administration going to be an end to the climate consensus, such as there has been? There's been the Accord, the Paris Accord, which he'll presumably pull out of, but there was this gradual building of a consensus around climate change, and it just feels in the last couple of months that started to sag a bit. And I wonder, could he end the sense of climate consensus, do you feel?
I think it's almost certainly the biggest impact that he will have on world politics, on geopolitics. Yes, it is a great get out clause for anyone else who's skeptical or doesn't want to truly sign up to, or just wants to give lip service to trying to tackle climate change. So I think countries like possibly India will see Donald Trump's lack of enthusiasm for actual climate action as an excuse not to do it themselves. So yes, indeed, it may not change people's actual belief in the science behind it. They may not come across to Donald Trump's actual skepticism, scientific skepticism, but I can see it ending the kind of action required to halt climate change.
That's a really interesting point to end on. Catherine, great to speak to you as ever. Thanks for joining us. That's Catherine Phillip there, the Times World Affairs editor.
Starting tomorrow, I will act with historic speed and strength and fix every single crisis facing our country. We have to do it. And as of today, TikTok is back. So they'll have a partner, the United States, and they'll have a lot of bidders, and the United States will do what we call a joint venture. And there's no risk. We're not putting up any money. All we're doing is giving them the approval, without which they don't have anything. So I don't know. It sounds like that works. What do you think? Good? Perhaps most beautiful of all, this week we achieved an epic ceasefire agreement as a first step toward lasting peace in the Middle East. And this agreement could only have happened as a result of our historic victory in November. That's what we allowed in, and they're nice people compared to some of them. But I'm glad to report that the first hostages have just been released. And who knows what's going to happen? I know that Biden is saying that they made the deal. Well, I mean, that deal should have, first of all, it would have never happened if I were president. Would have never happened. There was not even a thought of it. Our incoming administration has achieved all of this in the Middle East in less than 3 months without being president. We've achieved more without being president than they've achieved in 4 years with being president. We're going to do a lot of things. You're going to see something tomorrow. You're going to see executive orders that are going to make you extremely happy. Lots of them. Lots of them. We have to set our country on the proper course. By the time the sun sets tomorrow evening, the invasion of our borders will have come to a halt, and all the illegal border trespassers will in some form or another be on their way back home. Thank you. The border security measures I will outline in my inaugural address tomorrow will be the most aggressive, sweeping effort to restore our borders. Good job, Pete. But we will quickly reestablish control of our sovereign territory and borders. We will expel every single illegal alien, gang member, and migrant criminal operating on American soil and remove the savage gang Tren de Aragua from the United States. So much that Governor Burgum of every radical and foolish executive order of the Biden administration will be repealed within hours of when I take the oath of office. Oh, you're going to have a lot of fun watching television tomorrow. It's a lot of people. But we're going to stop the destructive and divisive diversity, equity, and inclusion mandates all across the government and private sector and return our country to the merit system. We are going to make public remaining records relating to the assassinations of President John F. Kennedy, his brother Robert Kennedy, as well as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and other topics of great public interest. It's all going to be released, Uncle Sam. And I will direct our military to begin construction of the Great Iron Dome missile defense shield, which will all be made in the USA. And we will get wokeness the hell out of our military immediately and make it like it used to be. Take a look at this. The American people have given us their trust, and in return, we're going to give them the best first day, the biggest first week, and the most extraordinary first 100 days of any presidency in American history.